Hello everybody and welcome to another tutorial in camera and lens repair, and this time I will continue with the Auto Chinon 1.4 and 55mm, which has a really sticky aperture plates, and well, it yeah, you can see the blades, the aperture is closed, but if I set it to manual, or yeah, try to close the, open the aperture to set it 1.4, well, you will probably see a lot of oil in there, but and it will mean the aperture will be very too slow. And if I set it to A and press the button, to press the little tab behind here on the back, you will see what's happened. The aperture will not at all move, especially not if I set it to 16. You can see nothing really seems to happen, and that's a problem because the pictures will be way too overexposed. So what can we do about that? Yeah, we can do a lot, but we need some tool to do it with. At least a lens tool. This is an old compass, but it works fine for that. A JIS 2.5mm crochet, as it is. It's a Japanese lens, so it has JIS screw head. Some dentist tool might also be very handy, special those with a spade in one end, it will say it's something like that, and one with a very pointy tip. It's good to make scratches. Yeah, and I also made myself a tweezer, which is simply so good for putting in aperture plates, because I file it and grind it so it's really flat, so it can go under the plates if this is the case. I haven't been into the aperture assembly yet, so it will be interesting to see what it is. Since, well, I took a sneak peek inside just to see how the blade was really oily, but yeah, I think, okay, I will stay for that and make a video out of it. We also need some rubber tools, at least the part of the 6 different rubber cones from Japan Hub tool, and I will use number 5 and number 4. Those are really good for working with the aperture plates, but in case you do not have those cones, you can go to the hardware store and buy some plumbing. Go into the plumbing section and buy some of those gaskets, which you can get in so many different size. And for just so we know what we are talking about, this is yeah, something like 40mm diameter, so it will fit good into the aperture assembly when we come into it. It doesn't cost much, and it can also be used for disassemble other things. The rubber is really sticky, so it's really good. Now let's jump into it. Oh, we also need some cleaning solvent, and I use hopefully you can see it, isopropyl alcohol 99%, and a lot of cotton buds and a lens cloth is also very good for that. Now, to get into the lens, you maybe have seen the 2 other videos I made about it. To get into and take the whole lens assembly out with the aperture system, we need to take off the front here. Also in the nameplate, it will come off at the same time. But we need a, oh, I'm sorry if I got that. We need a 1.2mm flathead screwdriver, which is this one, and simply loosen That's the word, loosen the small set screws. And if it's a case, the screw head, I mean the set screws in here are really sticky and you cannot get them out, take a little like isopropyl alcohol and just add a little on the screw so it might loosen the thread lock that's, or the varnish they put over the screw head, and do it on all three of them. It should be good enough for that, and wait a little maybe. But since I've been into it before, it should be no problem. So just loosen them a few turns, all of them, all three, and yeah, just see, get the little thread here. Sometimes it can be a little difficult, so that's enough. No need for fully unscrew them. So that's it. Set the aperture to 16 and set it on A, which is already is, but I mean yeah, you could set it on M, it doesn't really matter, but set it on 16. I mean the aperture blades are so sticky, so it doesn't really matter in this case, but when we put it back in again, it's easier to set it on 16. So just to make that sure. But that unscrew the front name ring here, can be quite sticky. So off that, nothing special. And then we come into the a retaining ring here on the front. You maybe can see there are two notches, one there and the opposite side, 180 degree. And I just use this because it's good and simple. I will not damage anything. Just have a good grip on it and make sure it's I mean, if the case is, and it could be, because in many lenses they use thread lock on the retaining rings to hold the ring in place. And again, use some isopropyl alcohol and just add it on into the thread, so it can soften the thread lock. And it maybe you have to use a lot. It depends on how much the factory has used, but and you can just do it all over here. But maybe you will need a few drops of isopropyl alcohol. It might be it's difficult to tell. So we'll just go into it and see what we can loosen it. Of course, for me, it shouldn't be a problem, but could be with yours. And to make things a little easier, you can, in case you are not familiar with working with lenses, you see the index mark here. Well, you could set a mark up here somewhere, not on the thread, but on top of it here. No one will see it ever, of course, if they go into it, but no problem. Set a mark here. It should be in line with the index mark, because then when you assemble the lens again, you will know where the orientation of the lens assembly will be. So, but we'll just continue. I use my iPhone and I connected a BOYA microphone, a wireless microphone. I just try to see if it gives a better sound of my speaking, which I hope. And I think it's very simple set. So just to keep things simple. Now the retaining ring off, put it aside, and see again, aperture 16, set the lens to infinity. It will also be the case when we put the lens assembly back in again, and just flip it over. But as it comes out, I will show you some things. You see, there is a guide pin here, this one. This guide pin is going into a cutout or a notch, a long notch. You maybe can see it. Oh, I will show it. See the long cutout here, which is for the guide pin here, this one. And there is another pin down here, which is the connection from the aperture system, which, if I set the lens to M manual, you can see how it works in here. Not really much movement, but of course, when we see at the when we look at the aperture connection thing here on the lens assembly or the aperture assembly, this long pin will go into here and move the aperture ring, the inner aperture ring. I don't know what the name of the ring, but it will, oh, we can see it here. If I move the ring, you probably can see the aperture blades moving with all the sticky oil. So maybe it's easier to see it from the back of the lens. There will be even more oil. I will take off the lens assembly, both the front and the back lens group, so we can see the whole thing. Now, so I will do that first, but before taking apart unscrew the back lens, it's good to set a mark here somewhere. It doesn't really matter, but both on the aperture assembly and both on the back lens group. And it's just to, when you screw it back in again, it will stay on the same place way as when you took it apart. It will be the same up here on the front. And where did I set the mark? I just screwed way too much in, so it will be quite hard to unscrew. But, well, I set a mark there and there, but they should of course be in line. So, and it was a case in this lens that I had some problem unscrewing the back lens group. So I simply add some isopropyl alcohol here to make it more easy to unscrew. But I think I will take the front first, so this can stay a little. And of course the front was also quite hard to unscrew. And again, I will do the same, just somewhere. Simply add a lot of isopropyl alcohol on the thread and let it stay a little. Now then I will use a number 5 of the cones, the big end here, and it can be put over the front lens group. Now I can have a good grip here on the back. Take care of the ring here and simply, hopefully, unscrew it. Yeah, okay. Well, it was not the case I want, but let's see what we can do. Yeah, you see the front ring actually came loose. I mean the front ring that holds the front lens, yes. So what are we gonna do then? Well, since we have some other rubber tools, I will try with this one. This is an old piece of rubber for a record player, and it's really sticky. And I will just try it if it's possible. Can it fit over? It can. No, not good. But I think I will go for the rubber cones itself. So let's see if we can take number 4. Yeah, number 4. And I will put the number 5 out of it. And yeah, things happen. So we have a good grip there. So there, and press it together, and hopefully you can unscrew. Yes, came loose. Good. Well, the front lens is a bit well, you know, things happen when you work with lenses. It was not expected, but nothing serious happened. And simply unscrew that, so I can put the front ring on again. Yeah, it's really tight fit, this the front lens mount. So then it come loose. Hopefully, there it is. And I could just put the front ring on again and say that's all fine. I mean, at first, when I unscrew the front lens, it came apart in the good way. So no, so it's on again. No problem here. So everybody's happy. Now, then I can take off the back lens group, which can be taken off by turning it a good grip. So nothing special about that. So now we look into the aperture assembly is really looking very simple. There's no springs. There's just an aperture moving ring, some aperture blades, which will be 6 blades, and a ring that hold the whole thing in place. And there might be, I don't know yet, if this the back ring here is coming out at the same time. I don't know yet, because I haven't been into it. Now, before taking anything apart here, we need to set a mark here on this little piece of metal. It's a stopper for the aperture 16. So when the aperture is open, fully closed, it will go to that. You see the end there. So this piece of metal, I'm not quite sure if I need to take it out. It doesn't seem to. No. So I will just let it be. But still, if you want to take it out, which is not really necessary, well, set a mark here on the end, so you know where this one has to sit. Or you can also make a more precise mark here in line with each other. What is more important is, because the blades are connected to this ring here, and there seems to be not only 6 holes, but actually 7, 8, 9 holes, and but there's only 6 blades, so I don't know what those holes are for. And but I just set a mark here. It's just a tiny mark. It will not be seen at all. There, there, and there. Just to make sure it's the correct holes I use. I don't know what's underneath. So now what is more important is to set a mark here on the side of the You see the ring here, that's part of the ring that holds the blades in place. But set a mark outside here, and where you can see it. So you know, because the screw holes here, they are not only round, they are a little long, I guess, but I haven't been unscrew those. But normally in aperture blade system, the holes here are a little, so you can adjust it a little, and it doesn't have to be much. But since I set a mark here, I'm safe home, as we say. So with my 2.5 millimeter crosshead screwdriver, JIS, well, the holes are not really long as I thought, but they are bigger than the screw. So one have to be careful before doing anything. And we can just make a test. I will loosen the last screw a little, and maybe we can see what's happened if I move the ring. I mean yeah, you can see it can be moved a little. So it's good to have your mark here on this side, just so the blades will not go wrong. And you can also see the screw here can actually move one side to the other. So the holes are quite big, as you can see. That's why it is so important to set small marks. Well, you could also, if it was the case, you could also set a mark in here on the inside of this ring, and also inside the aperture barrel, I think it's called. So you also another way of setting a mark. Now, to get it out, I think it must be that. One needs to, I mean, in a way of when you flip it over and get the aperture blades out, it will say it comes out this way. And if I just unscrew this, which I will do, and flip it over and let the whole thing fall out, I have no control of, whoa, how does it actually put together? So it's better to have a kind of a rubber tool. It could be this one or the number 4, which actually fit inside the, not the hole, but the little bigger, and it's quite good. So I think I will go for that. So in this case, I can unscrew it. Yeah, go for that, and then flip it over. So I guess the moving ring, which is this one here, it will come out without any problem. But let's see what's happened. I have no idea. Maybe I should help it a little and press down on the ring or inside here. I don't know. Let's see what's happened. Okay. Oh, nothing happened. What's going on here? Now, is it the screws that hold that in place? No, it must be that. So maybe I have to press down on here. No. Maybe if I go in between here and press down a little, and also on the other side over here, and then in a way wiggle it out, I think it will go. So that's a different way of putting aperture system together. And in that way, lift it out. Whoa, a lot of oil. So now you can see here the shiny oil inside here. It's really, really sticky. So there is only one ring, and the blades that is resting against the bottom of the aperture assembly. Now I can just jump this into bars of isopropyl alcohol, cling, and now we can look at how this aperture assembly is put together. So the blades sit like this, and the tweezer is good for that. So if I move the ring here, can I do anything? Whoa. You see there is a lot of oil. So it's why the aperture is really sticky. And there seems to be some that way is put together. So okay, I see. When the aperture is fully closed, so one have to figure out, okay, it's not, so the free holes here, it will say this one. So maybe I need to set a mark somewhere in here, just a tiny one, so I know exactly which blade has to be put into which holes, because it's not all the holes I will use. So maybe this one will not turn at all. And this one. And this one. So one is at the close aperture, something like that, and yeah. I think it will. I think I will go for it anyway. It's closed, and it sits where the it's close to this one here. So now I'll just take it apart. I have to start somewhere. Okay. So wow, they're really sticky. They can just be put in one way. So that's it. The blades are made of metal. I can tell. Out with that. And this one. Wow. So there. And something like that. And the last one. So, well, of course I could have actually have just lift off the aperture ring, moving ring, which I didn't know. And do we know how to sit? Yes, because you see those three stick out. Those here, they stick out a little. One there, there, and there. So it has to sit where the aperture plate is. So I'll just put the whole thing in. I can take this out. Now it must be fine. So all the things in. That's fine for now. And one could use some paper or so. Doesn't really matter. So there. And there was nothing on the back of the inner body in here. So and we can just wipe it off in here. So that's all fine, looks nice and clean without any oil. So I can just put it aside. And then do the rest of it. All the aperture blades and the rings and so on. So it'll be free of any oil, hopefully. So you can see there's over time all the oil on the blades will simply get the lens to not work as it should. That's why I think many lenses is just thrown away because yeah, I cannot fix it. I do not want to try or so, but it's not that hard. I mean, some of the lenses can be a little problematic, but hopefully this one will be okay. Now, the rest of the blades, I mean the aperture moving ring also. So there. I think it will be all fine. Nice and clean. Then all the blades, which will come back to normal working condition. So where did the oil actually come from? Yeah, the only place it can come from is the focusing assembly, because over time the oil grease will separate. I mean, the oil will separate from the grease components, and then that way the only way it can move into is the aperture assembly. So if the lens has some problem with sticky aperture blades, it probably also will have it for I mean, there might be problems with the focusing assembly. Maybe a sticky focus ring or so, or it can be really hard to turn and all. So the only way is to take the whole focus helicoid apart. I mean, this lens is a bit, yeah, it's not as smooth as it could be, but maybe I'll make a video about it. I don't know yet. That depends. So, and I think we'll be there a few minutes, few time. And now they look nice and clean as it could be. I don't know how old this lens is. Maybe from the 70s or so, maybe 80s, early 80s. Could be. No, it's M42. So yeah, I think it must be from 60s, 70s. So now the last blade, yeah. Come on, little fellow. So I hope the picture quality is okay from the iPhone. It's my iPhone 11 Pro X Max thing. So I think it will be fine for now. And then we can just put it away. So now come the tricky parts. Maybe not. Let's see what's happened. Put this ring on, then this ring, and whoops, yeah, it must be the rings. Yeah. So you see, there's a cutout here, and that's the only different cutout, and it has to sit over here. Where is the ring? So this one has to sit like there. I guess, yeah, it's the only way. And it has to sit. So if we look here, if the aperture was set on 16, this moving ring was put all the way over to here. But since we are at, I will start at 2.8, so let's put it over here and see what's happened in here. I'm gonna put a blade in. Let's see. I think we'll start with this one. Oh, it is a 16. Let's see. Should be something like that. Oh, sorry. It was the opposite. Of course, not that cutout. It was the other one. So I'll just put it on all the way around at the full open. I think it looks more easy. So you see the three holes here, but it has to sit like this, because the other, I don't think it will sit there. Yeah, it could be, but it has to sit like this. Or I'm wrong? Maybe. Yeah. So let's see what's going on here. Yeah, it must be that. But to me it looks wrong. Maybe I'm wrong with the first blade. Could be. So you see, that is something. I think it must be there, there. Yeah, okay, I can start on this one. Maybe it will help a little. Yeah, I think so. It must be the case. This one goes here, and this one will go here. Oh, come on. There. Oops. What's happened here? It's really difficult, I mean, different aperture system to work with. So here we are. Now, the tricky part will be the last blade I put in. Because how will it be? Normally it's not a big problem, but it could be a different case in this lens. Oh, I see the point. It was the wrong. Oops. Of course it has to be up here. Too many holes. Well, So there, and it will be like this there. Fine. Almost safe home, but when it comes to the last plate, I have to move the moving aperture ring, so almost all of the plates are going inward. So if I press this down here, I can move the aperture ring a little. So you see the last hole here has to be, so I can see what's going on here. But there's something wrong. Oh yeah, it has to be like this. Let's see what's happened. There's something wrong. Maybe or maybe not. Oh yeah, this one has to go under there. Just like this. Can it be something like that? No. It doesn't have to be that way. Okay, if I open it fully, of course it has to sit that way. So one blade is sitting here on this pin. So what's going on here? I mean, it should be that way. So now the blade is actually, the last blade came in quite good. But if I can pull it out a little, out to this cutout here and move it a little. It's not much. Oh yeah, it has to go further out. So something like that. Wow, fine. That's great. So now I can fully open it. And I think it must be the important thing when you put it back in again. The blades does not have to be fully open or fully closed. So I would be able to put this on, and the cutout here and this pin here, I can lower it. Hopefully I will not touch the blades. So it must be something like that. No. Have to turn it a little. Yeah, we're almost there. And where is the gap? This here. I know it's not possible to see everything, but I think you will get it. It's fully open. If I close it a little. Not everything is correct in place. It's a bit different, this one. Yeah, it has to be there. So one has to be really careful when putting on the outer barrel here. It's really precise fit. Oh gosh, here we are. I think. So let's see how the blades can move, hopefully. Wow, not sticky anymore. Yeah, I think it's fine. So I will just put in one screw and see. Hopefully I can catch the screw hole. Maybe, maybe not. Should be there. Or at least not that far from it. What's going on here? So this is why it's good to have a rubber stub. Oh yeah, good. It was not fully aligned, so it's there. Whew. Now, safe home. And we can just take the number 2 screw. Don't tighten them yet, because we maybe have to make an adjustment of the how it is aligned to. You can see it's not fully aligned to the mark I set, so it has to be moved a little. Or maybe I should. So, and there. So I should be able to move this little ring. Yeah, I mean, it can only sit in one way. So since I have my mark here, see, it I should be able to align it correct. It's quite good. So now I can tighten all 3 screws. I mean, you can add some varnish or so around the screw head, so it will hopefully stay there for good. So now we can see, wow, it's really good. Wow, amazing, amazing. And it looks like we got the right diameter with no oil. I mean, you can see the blades are a little worn out, but it doesn't really matter. It doesn't affect the pictures. So what to do next? Yeah, I can just put in the back lens group and go a little backward. It should say click there, and simply tighten it good. So now the front the front ring, front lens group, everything looks nice and clean in here. So I can just put it on. And again, it will be good if one goes a little backward to catch the thread. Sometimes it can be a little difficult to get that, but yeah, here is not a problem. So I can just screw it good, and use the rubber tool here. That's all fine. So now I can put it back in again, set the lens, set the aperture to fully close. It'll make things a little easier. And set the aperture ring here to 16. You see the little notch here and the little pin has to sit, if we look here, also in line with the guide pin and the cutout for the connection to the pin in here. So I would be able to just align to the align the guide pin here to the cutout notch and simply slide it in without any problem, hopefully. Yeah. Will it work? Well, we can try. Set it to M, which is this, and I should be able to move the aperture ring. Wow, that's great. So it works as it should. So now aperture is back on track again and can be used as it meant to be. Click the retaining ring on and use the rubber tool to screw it in at first, and then use a rubber compass, whatever tool you have, to tighten the front ring. And in that way we're actually back on track with this lens, which is actually rendering the pictures quite good in my opinion. They have a good character. So tighten it good and then put on the name ring, front ring, set it to infinity, will be, oh no, sorry, near end, and then screw it on. Go a little backward to catch the thread there, then screw it in, and then tighten the small set screws, not too much. So there. Finally, we have an aperture that works. Wow, that's really good. So all in all, it's working again. That was all for me. Hope you enjoy the content and can use the info about this lens. See you sooner in another video. Bye bye.